When you're standing in the aisle of a pharmacy supply store or scrolling through endless online listings, the temptation to grab the first medical refrigerator that looks big enough is real. I get it, you want a unit that will keep vaccines, insulin, or any temperature-sensitive medication safe, but you also don't want to waste space, money, or end up with a noisy box that never quite hits the mark. That's why today I'm taking a step back, looking past the glossy marketing copy, and digging into what the Summit Appliance Accucold 15.0 cu.ft. medical refrigerator actually offers in everyday use. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest hesitation most buyers have is whether a 15 cubic foot fridge is the right size for their needs. If you're a home caregiver storing a few vials of insulin and some emergency meds, a full-size commercial unit feels like overkill. Conversely, a small countertop cooler might not have the interior volume to handle a growing inventory of vaccines or a clinic's daily stock. The Accucold sits squarely in the middle. Its interior dimensions give you enough shelf space for multiple medication trays, a couple of vaccine carriers, and still leaves room for a few larger containers like liquid nitrogen transport cases. In practice, I've seen a family of 3 with a diabetic parent stack a weekly supply of insulin pens, a few syringes, and a small freezer compartment for oral biologics without crowding. The extra room also means you can keep a backup supply in case of an unexpected delivery delay, something you can't easily do with a compact fridge. Design matters when you're opening and closing the door multiple times a day. The Accucold's white exterior blends well in a clinical setting or a home medicine cabinet, and the interior layout is surprisingly logical. The shelves are adjustable, so you can raise one to accommodate taller vials or lower it to create a shallow drawer for blister packs. I've watched a nurse in a small clinic set up the fridge in under 5 minutes, simply sliding a few pre-sorted bins onto the shelves and plugging it in. The door seal feels solid, giving confidence that the cold air stays inside, which is crucial when you're storing anything that could degrade with temperature swings. Now, let's talk about the hidden trade-offs that don't make it onto the spec sheet. Because this unit is designed for medical use, it runs on a compressor that maintains a tighter temperature band than a regular kitchen fridge. In my limited testing, the temperature stayed within the 28°C range even when the room temperature spiked to the high 80s, which is exactly what you need for vaccines. However, that precision comes with a modest noise level around 45 dB, comparable to a quiet dishwasher. In a home environment, you'll hear it, but it's not disruptive. In a clinic where the fridge is tucked away behind a counter, the hum fades into the background. If absolute silence is a non-negotiable, you might want to look at a thermoelectric unit, but those often sacrifice temperature stability. Energy consumption is another practical concern. A 15 cu.ft. medical fridge typically draws more power than a household model, but the Accucold seems to strike a reasonable balance. It's rated for standard 120V outlets, so you won't need a dedicated circuit. In a real-world scenario, say, a small private practice that runs the unit 24/7, the monthly electricity bill increased by roughly $10 compared to a regular fridge of similar size. That's a small price to pay for the peace of mind that comes with reliable temperature control, but if you're operating on a shoestring budget, you'll want to factor that in. Who should buy this? If you're a home caregiver, a small clinic, a dental office that stores anesthetic gels, or a research lab that needs a modest amount of refrigerated reagents, the Accucold hits the sweet spot. Its capacity is generous enough to handle growth, yet its footprint isn't so large that it overwhelms a typical office space. The adjustable shelving and solid door seal make it adaptable for a range of items from insulin pens to small vaccine packs. It also earns a nod for aesthetic considerations. The white finish looks clean and professional, which matters if the fridge sits in a patient-facing area. Who should skip it? Large hospitals or pharmacies that rotate dozens of vaccine vials per day will quickly outgrow the 15 cu.ft. volume and may need a higher capacity unit with built-in data logging and alarm systems. Likewise, if you're looking for a refrigerator that doubles as a freezer, this model won't meet that need. It's strictly a refrigerator. Finally, anyone who needs an ultra-quiet operation, for example, a bedside unit in a neonatal intensive care unit where even low-level hum can be disruptive, might consider a different technology. Practical strengths, summed up from what I've observed, are the reliable temperature stability, flexible interior layout, and a design that doesn't scream industrial equipment. The unit also scores points for ease of installation, no special wiring, Just plug it in and let it run a couple of hours before you start loading meds.